Hello neighbors, it's Brad here from eTrailer, and today we are taking a look at installing the eTrailer trailer hitch receiver on a 2023 Toyota Sienna. And adding a hitch to really any vehicle is a great option if you plan on using it for adventures, whether you're taking bikes along with you, going on vacation, getting some extra storage with a cargo carrier, or doing some work and being able to pull a trailer. And the eTrailer might be one of my favorites. So let's take a closer look, and I'm also going to show you how to get it installed. Now, this is how it's going to look when it's installed on your Sienna, and it is going to be an exposed cross tube. So meaning you're going to see the whole width of the hitch underneath the van, and that's kind of the nature of the hitches for the Sienna. There's not a whole lot of options, but to be completely honest, it really doesn't take away that much, especially with the nice matte black powder coat finish that the eTrailer hitch has. It does hold up to chips and scratches way better than the gloss paint. I've seen that time and time over again. Now this hitch is a great option because it's a 2" by 2" receiver tube opening, and that's really the standard when it comes to accessories. So whether you're getting a bike rack, a cargo carrier, or even a ball mount, you're going to have tons of options available, and all of them are going to stay in place with a 5/8 pin and clip. Now this is not included with the hitch, but many times when you get accessories, they'll have them included. And if you plan on leaving accessories on long term, maybe the bike rack for a whole season, you might want to look at a locking pin and clip. It's a good deterrent for anyone walking by. They can't just pull out the pin and clip and take those accessories with them. We also have a plate style safety chain loop. So if you plan on pulling a trailer, you're going to be hooking up your safety chains. So standard S-hook, no problem. Even a larger clevis style is also no problem. Now when towing a trailer or loading up accessories, you're going to want to adhere to the weight capacities of not only the hitch, but also what the vehicle is capable of towing. So check the vehicle's owner's manual, see what it's capable of, and then compare that with the hitch numbers and take the lower number. Just because the hitch can do it doesn't mean that the drivetrain or suspension can on the van. So you don't want to damage anything and you want to be safe while towing. So this one is rated pretty well. You have a gross trailer weight rating of 3,500 pounds, which is the weight of the trailer plus the accessories loaded onto it. You have a tongue weight rating, which is the downward pressure on the inside of the receiver tube opening. That accounts for a lot of your suspended accessories, so cargo carriers and bike racks. Comes in at 350 pounds, which means you can load up a cargo carrier on vacation or even a 4-bike bike rack. As long as they're not all heavy e-bikes, you should be able to load that up with no problem. But you can also get additional capacity for towing if you use a weight distribution hitch. It actually bumps it up to 5,000 pounds for your gross trailer weight rating, and your tongue weight is going to go up to 500 pounds. A few quick measurements. The first one is going to account for some of your folding accessories, and really to account for bike racks and cargo carriers that go up, you want to make sure that it's going to be able to work on the van and not damage the fascia. So from the center of our hitch pin hole to the furthest point of our fascia, it's right at about 3 inches. And to be completely honest, I really don't worry too much that you're going to have any issues. Ground clearance, I'm going to measure from the top of the receiver tube opening to the ground, and it's coming in right at about 10 inches. And I don't really worry that the hitch is going to bottom out, but when you have suspended accessories on here, keep in mind as you go up an incline, they can bottom out pretty easily. But more so that measurement's going to be helpful for getting a fixed ball mount. So if you have the trailer available that you're going to be towing with, you can get that on level ground and measure from the ground to the top of the coupler, and then take our measurement and compare that. And then you can get that rise or drop necessary to get everything level and going down the road safely. Now, more times than not, I would say that you're going to have probably a 3-4 inch rise on this, maybe a little bit more, but something you can do if you're going to be towing a number of different trailers is get an adjustable ball mount, then you can cover the whole spread. Now, a question that we get a lot of times is, does my hands-free lift gate work on the van? And depending on your trim level, whether or not you have it or not, it may be a very important thing that you don't want to lose. Well, I'm here to tell you it does work. This is not my van, so I'm going to try to get this opened up, but I have the key fob in my hand, quick bump, and it opens up with no issues. Chances are you're probably on this page to determine how to install this. And I'm here to tell you this one's actually pretty easy to do. You can do it in your driveway or garage with a minimal amount of tools. Really all you need is a 10mm socket, a flathead screwdriver, 3/4 inch socket, and a torque wrench, and also something to cut an underbody panel. But I also understand if you don't have the time, the place, the tools, or even the want to tackle this yourself, but still want to get that hitch installed, don't let the installation hinder you. You can find someone close to you to get it installed for you by using our dealer locator. You'll simply put in your zip code and find a list of dealers next to you in your area that can get this installed so you can be out on the road enjoying your adventures. For you DIYers, let's take a look at that installation and get your hitch installed. To begin our installation, we're going to need to remove the underbody panel on the driver's side. That's going to keep our frame covered, and that's where we're going to be bolting up the hitch. So to get this taken down, there's going to be a series of plastic push pins that we're going to attack first. You'll see that there's 4 different slots here. So I use a trim panel tool. These are super handy, but if you don't have one at home, you can use a flathead. Just try to pry that center part. A lot of times if you put the screwdriver in there and twist it, you can get that to separate. And then prying this out, you should be able to get the whole thing taken out. If it does separate, just make sure you have both of the pieces and keep these in a nice organized spot. That way for reinstallation, you'll have everything to get it put back up. So there's another one here on the side, one here, and we'll get those taken off first. There's also 2 screws that are going to require a 10mm socket to take those out. The first one that we have, if you'll kind of just follow the plastic, we have one right here. And then our other one, you'll see, is attached to our mud flap. You may or may not have mud flaps on your car, but this 10mm holds that up, so we'll take it out. The final piece of hardware to get this removed is going to be located in this notch. So with either a longer socket or an extension, like that. And just to keep track of our hardware, you're going to find that we have 2 threaded ones. That's going to be this one and the one that goes up top into the frame. And then the screw is the one that goes in the mud flap. So just when you're putting these back, just keep in mind. And we'll set this aside for now. And with that panel removed, that's going to give us access to the frame where we're going to be bolting up our hardware for the hitch. Toyota's really done us a favor by putting these plugs in place because that keeps any corrosion or rust from building up in those threads. So our hardware should be pretty easy to feed up. Some other vehicles out there, these are all exposed and they really do turn to rust and corrosion, making it a difficult installation, but not something we have to worry about. But we do need to pop these out. There is a spot that you can put a flathead. I would just recommend if you can use a flathead screwdriver, you can kind of wedge underneath it. They pop out fairly easily. And so there's 3 of them on this side. There's also 3 on the other side. So we can repeat this step on the passenger side. Grab your extra set of hands and have hardware ready. So have at least 1 bolt on each side and a conical tooth washer with the teeth facing towards the metal on the hitch. And I got Kevin here to help me. We'll just raise this up and get it aligned with any of the holes. You line one, the rest should. But we'll just get one started, a couple threads. And then once you get that started, that'll hold it in place for you, and you can get the rest of the hardware in place as well. And once all your hardware is just hand started, you can then snug it down. You don't need to get crazy here because we're going to come back with a torque wrench to get it properly torqued down. The 3/4 inch socket is going to accomplish that. Once you've snugged the hardware down, then you'll come back with your torque wrench, same socket, and torque settings are going to be found in the instruction manual. Now, if you need a torque wrench and you don't have a neighbor that you can borrow one from, you can go to an auto parts store and rent one for free. This is going to be really important on this because long term we want to make sure that we can tow this down the road safely, but also using factory weld nuts, you got to make sure that you don't over tighten it because it can damage the hardware in the process. Now we'll go through and torque down the rest of the bolts. For our panel to go back up, to make clearance for the hitch that lives right in this area, we do need to cut it out. And there's measurements that you can use, but I'm going to kind of just run alongside this flat edge, and you'll see this half circle. That's going to be where I cut, and then where this line is, I'm going to cut there. So having that open section should be enough. We can always cut more. You can really use a pair of snips. You can use a oscillating tool, a Dremel, whatever you have handy. So I'll go through and get this cut out. Now, I did mention that you may have to trim a little bit more, and I'm just going to give you the measurements that I ended up doing. The cut, I would do about 2.5 inches. You could go a little bit wider here. And then as far cutting back, I would say about 6.5, give or take, somewhere in there. But that ended up being a nice clean fit. I didn't need to go as far back as initially thought. So if you want to get that nice and clean, you can follow that measurement. It should get you really close. With this all trimmed out, all that's left to do is get it put back in, get the hardware in the reverse order that we took it off, and then load up your accessories, put in your pin and clip, and you're ready to hit the road. Now, hopefully this video helped you get the hitch installed on your van, and throughout the process, or if you have it installed and want to snap some pictures out on your adventures, please send us some pictures. That really helps us determine what our neighbors are doing with products that we sell, and we'd like to see you out there doing the adventures with our products. Thank you for joining me on a look and installation of the eTrailer trailer hitch receiver on a 2023 Toyota Sienna.